Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 1 Minute Breakdowns. This is for UFC Vegas 73, Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. This fight was supposed to take place last week, but has since then been changed to the main event for this card and has been switched from a 3-rounder to a 5-rounder. And we have a bunch of decent fights, I would say. We don't have anyone debuting this week, so that's a change. And we have a lot of violence. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes on this card. So I'm always happy that we have UFC on a Saturday, and I can't really complain too much. Obviously, not the highest level of fights, but it's still fights. We still get to see some violence, and I'm ready to break this down. And at the end of the show, I'll be giving out my pick for baseball, which should probably be about 10 to 15 minutes after the show ends. So stay tight for that. First of all, I got to shout out the chat at the moment. Evan, it's my guy. Yes, sir. We do love violence. That's for sure. If you guys haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe on the video. It means a lot, and we're almost at 300 subscribers. So making a push there. And I will not have another 2 to 3 week hiatus like I have been going on with the 1 minute breakdowns. I'm done with school as of right now. I just finished my last final, and yeah, it's almost time to graduate. One more semester. I'm excited. But without further ado, let's go ahead and break down these fights. First fight on the card: Takashi Sato versus Themba Gorimbo. Gorimbo's going to have a 3.5-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage in this matchup. I mean, this is obviously a very low-level fight, and we don't really have too much to go based off of here. Gorimbo's the grappler in this fight. Sato is the striker, and Sato has been submitted a couple of times. Gorimbo's going to have a clear path to victory with the wrestling and the submissions. Even though he's a very low-level fighter, I do think that Gorimbo's going to be able to get the grappling going, get the wrestling going, and eventually find a sub. I know that Gunnar Nelson wasn't able to sub this guy, but Gunnar Nelson had him in a freaking body triangle for 3 rounds straight. So if you ask me, that's winning a fight. So yeah, give me Themba Gorimbo in this matchup. Next up, we have Natalia Silva versus Victoria Leonardo, and in this one, I don't really have much to say. Natalia Silva is a -1,000 favorite, and it's for good reason. Tail of the tape is pretty much identical, but Silva, she's just miles ahead of this girl Leonardo everywhere. I feel like the only place Leonardo, I think, could find success is probably against the cage, as Silva does give up some time and some control against the cage. But other than that, Natalia Silva is a much better striker. She's a much better grappler. And, I mean, at -1,000, you can't really do much here. The Silva ITD, I've seen some people play the ITD line, but I'm not the biggest fan of inside the distance lines when it comes to WMMA, unless they're a specialty type of fighter like Mackenzie Dern going up against a very weak grappler or something of that sort. So nothing to really do with this fight, but it should be a fun one to watch. Now, next up, we have the Twitter War of the Week. We have Chase Hooper going up against Nick Fiore. Chase Hooper's moving up to 155. Hooper's going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage in this fight. With that being said, I think Fiore probably takes this fight. Fiore is a much better striker, even though he's still not the best striker himself. He throws with a little bit more power, and we've seen how chinny Chase can be. That was at 145, yet to be seen at 155. Against Rebecki, he showed a lot of toughness, and that was on short notice. He almost got Rebecki out of there too. He hit him with some very clean strikes in the first round, and then almost capitalized in the later rounds. The only thing that concerns me is Fiore's cardio just a little bit. I do have some questions about that, but that was probably due to the short notice fight. With all that being said, give me Fiore moneyline with some confidence here. I think the moving up a weight class is an angle that I've been using to fade fighters for quite some time, and it's been pretty profitable. So I'm going based off of that, and I got the nice little plus money ticket on Nick Fiore here. So give me Nick Fiore in this fight. And before we get into this next one, let me check out the chat. Shout out to Jacob and my boy Pat from Addicted to Combat. If you guys haven't already, please go ahead and like and comment all of his videos and subscribe to the man. He puts out very well informative content on UFC, just like I do. And he does more in-depth breakdowns. I've been a guest on his show multiple times. And the guy's a stand-up dude. One of my closest people in the space. Let me have a sip of coffee before I get into this next one. That finals crash starting to hit, but no slowing down for me. Next fight, we have Rodrigo Nasamento going up against Ilir Latifi. Nasamento is going to have a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight, a 4-inch height advantage. Both guys, questionable gas tanks. Latifi is not a true heavyweight. He's a blown up light heavyweight, blown up middleweight. And Nasamento is a true heavyweight. He's a bigger guy, naturally a heavyweight, and he's 10 years younger in this matchup. Latifi throws close to no volume on the feet, and it's just going to depend on if Latifi can land the takedowns. We haven't really seen Nasamento off of his back, although people rave about this guy being a strong jiu-jitsu grappler, black belt in his own right. With all that being said, I'm going to have to go and lean with Nasamento on the money line, but I wouldn't recommend parlaying Nasamento at these prices just because we haven't seen him in quite some time. I mean, 7 months is not that long, but we haven't really seen too much from this guy. Cardio-wise, too, is just something you can't trust. So staying away, but I'd lean Rodrigo Nasamento. Next up, we have Orion Kosai going up against Gilbert Urbina. And guys, I have not seen an underdog as popular as Gilbert Urbina in quite some time. At one point, he was around plus 170. Now all the way down to plus 120. So I get it. Urbina is the younger fighter. He's going to have a 4-inch height advantage here and a 3-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Urbina's moving down to 170. He was at 185 previously. Both guys can't really trust their cardio. Kosei does seem to push through the fatigue a little bit better, but I think Urbina's the better striker, and I think he's the more violent fighter. He does have a couple finishes on his record. I do lean to the Urbina side. I like what I see from him, and I think he rebounds here and finds his first win here in the UFC. So give me Gilbert Urbina. Next up, we have Karolina Kowalkiewicz going up against Vanessa Demopolis. And this is a fight I do have a shoey bet with with Couch Warrior. If you guys didn't check out his show yesterday, I was on the Couch Warrior podcast breaking down these fights. So go ahead and check that out. The tail of the tape is almost identical between these two women. And what can I say? I mean, what a fight. Karolina was near retirement after she went on that 5-fight losing streak. Karolina is the much better striker. Demopolis is going to be the better grappler in this matchup. Demopolis, the one thing I like about her is that she's tenacious. She goes at you. She has grit, and she goes out on her shield. She fights with a chip on her shoulder, and it almost feels like she goes out there knowing that she needs to be in your face to win this fight. And that's led her to win some very close fights just by showing that pressure and volume. The thing is, she defends punches with her face. If Vanessa can land takedowns, I think she'll probably win this fight. But Karolina is obviously the more skilled fighter and has the better strength of schedule, being amongst the title contenders back when she was in her prime. All that being said, I have to say that I lean towards the Vanessa side, and I think she might be able to get Karolina out of there and sub her. So I'm obviously on the Vanessa side. Couch Warriors on the Karolina side. That's the shoey bet. We'll see what happens. This should be a fun one. Let's check out the chat. Strong words for addicted. No, Pat, don't sell yourself too short. You are a really nice guy. On to the next one. We have a really fun fight here. We have Slava Borshev against Haisar Maheshate. In this fight, both guys don't really look to wrestle. I mean, obviously, we know the gaping hole in Borshev's game is the takedown defense, and this guy does not defend takedowns at all. He can get taken down with a gust of wind. With all due respect, he'll beat my ass, but it's like I just have to say it how it is. Maheshate is going to have the power advantage in this matchup. He hasn't really shown the prowess to wrestle, though. He hasn't wrestled at all. And even in the regional scene, you don't really see him going for takedowns all that often. And if this fight plays on the feet, as I think it's going to be, I think Borshev is the more technical striker. I think he has more tools to win the fight, and that liver shot knockout power is something serious, and you don't really want to mess with that when you're facing someone like Slava. Now, Maheshate can definitely knock Slava out, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. And Couch Warrior Mike, he brought this to my attention earlier on in the week. I believe it's Bet Online. They had the round 1 and round 2 KO for Maheshate mispriced completely around like plus 4,000 or something. So whoever did that got fired. But ultimately, I do lean with Slava clause here. I think Borshev's going to be the better striker here, and I think he wins via KO in round 1 or round 2. Next up, we have Michael Johnson going up against Diego Ferreira. And this fight is, very weird in terms of, the matchmaking is kind of odd in this one. Tail of the tape is similar for the two guys. Ferreira hasn't fought in a year and 4 months, and he's 38 years old. Michael Johnson, also at 36, he is getting up there in age, but has shown the competency to still win UFC fights at this age. He still throws that volume, so you got to give him that. The one thing I question here is, why is Ferreira coming back? 38 years old, you haven't fought in a while. He owns his own gym now, and sometimes you just have to question the will. Is it a paycheck? Is he coming in for a paycheck or not? I think Johnson, he can stuff the takedowns here, and he can outstrike him. He could probably knock out Diego Ferreira. Ferreira, I think the only way he wins here is getting a takedown and grabbing that submission, as he's a very serious black belt in jiu-jitsu. And I feel it takes one takedown for him and he wins. But Michael Johnson, 85% takedown defense. He showed it against Mark Diakese, did not stumble one bit. So give me Michael Johnson here. As the dog, too. This next fight is probably my favorite fight on the whole card. We have Andre Fielo going up against Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley is coming down to welterweight, previously being at middleweight. Fielo is going to have a 2-inch height advantage, but Buckley's the one that's going to be having a 2-inch reach advantage in this fight. Both guys are somewhat like glass cannons here. They can land knockouts, and they've been knocked out before multiple times. I feel like this fight's primarily going to be playing on the feet, although I've been seeing a lot of footage from Fielo's camp over the past year that he's been drilling wrestling a lot. So who knows? Maybe he looks to wrestle a little bit. But I highly doubt it. I think this fight is going to be on the feet. I do favor Buckley's durability slightly, but coming down a weight class, that can't do you too good in the durability department. And at these odds, it's a dog or pass. You're going to have to take Fielo if you want to bet this fight, because at plus 200, this fight's a puncher's chance with every with full definition of the sentence of the saying. It's a puncher's chance because both guys have serious power in their hands, and both guys can knock people out silly. Obviously, Buckley, I think he's the more technical striker here, but technicality is not going to get me anywhere with one punch that can land and shut your lights off. So Fielo, if he can land that one at plus 200, I'm happy. I'll probably be looking towards unders as well. I think this probably ends in round 1. So give me Fielo, KO 1. This is going to be a banger, Fresh. That's for sure. This is going to be a banger. Like I said, this is my favorite fight on the card. I love this fight. Next up, we have Emily Ducote going up against Lupita Godinez. And man, what's going on with Lupita Godinez? Obviously, this is coming in. She's coming in on short notice here. And tail of the tape is almost identical. If Lupi can land takedowns, I think she wins this fight very easy, as Ducote is a fish out of water on her back sometimes and throws up random submissions, but she tends to be controlled on the mat, and her get-up game is pretty terrible. But the thing is, if she can land takedowns, she doesn't shoot all that often anymore. That's my issue with Godinez. If I knew the game plan of Godinez here was to shoot takedowns, this might be close to a max bet. And I don't really max bet WMMA at all. That's how lopsided the matchup is in the wrestling game. So if I knew that, I would be betting Godinez, but I just can't trust her. She's fallen in love with her hands lately, and she's just been punching a lot, and she's been squeaking out these very close decisions, like in her last one against Calvillo. I don't necessarily think she won that fight, but it was very close. Yeah, one takedown in her last 2 fights. Can't really trust it, but I'm passing. I would lean Lupita Godinez if she does shoot takedowns. Co-main event, we have Edmund Shabazz going up against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. This fight, man, is a complete mismatch for Edmund Shabazz. They probably gave him the worst matchup in the roster at that weight class. Anthony Hernandez slowly racking up these wins in the UFC, and man, he's just a horrible matchup for Edmund. He's someone that looks to outpace you, to test your cardio, to take you down over and over again, and really see how much you want to win. Edmund isn't really a good grappler and doesn't deal with his cardio well. And other than round one, I think Edmund's in trouble. Edmund can land that round one knockout, as Hernandez doesn't really cover up too well. His defending on the feet is not the best. But outside of that round one shot, I think this is Anthony Fluffy Hernandez one-way traffic, to be honest with you. I think he's going to land multiple takedowns. I think he's going to drown Edmund down the stretch and probably find a submission at the end of round two or beginning of round three. So give me Anthony Fluffy Hernandez with some conviction. And surprisingly, I checked the line today, and the line has moved. At one point, Fluffy Hernandez was around minus 300s, and now he's at a minus 210. So it's getting very close to the point where I have to play him money line straight. I'm just waiting a little bit more. Maybe we can get some more love on the Shabazzian side. And if we can get this under 200, I'm definitely playing Anthony Hernandez somehow. And the main event of the evening, we have Angela Hill going up against Mackenzie Dern. Man, this fight is, I mean, obviously both fighters, tail of the tape is very similar. It's a tough fight to read in terms of how I think, or what I think is going to happen, because it's very binary. Obviously, if Mackenzie Dern can get the takedowns, she'll probably get a submission here. And if it goes to decision, then Angela Hill is probably going to be the winner, because Mackenzie Dern has a very, I'm not going to say very poor striking. She has improved, but her striking game is not that good compared to Angela Hill's. And Angela Hill has fought people with a similar fighting style as Dern, like not like a grappling edge, but the wrestling, people attempting takedowns on her, and she has stuffed them a lot. Like against Lupi Godinez, I mean, after she stuffed the first two, is that was done. No one really shot for takedowns there. It was just on the feet, and Angela Hill just gave her a vet lesson. So Hill's going to be the better striker, as I mentioned. She's, in my opinion, levels ahead of Mackenzie Dern with that Muay Thai style. Mackenzie Dern's going to be trying to get takedowns or guard pulling. And if she finds success there, she ultimately gets a submission. But if not, I think Angela Hill wins a decision here. The extra 2 rounds is going to favor Mackenzie Dern because she has 10 minutes or 2 more rounds to get a sub or find a sub. I'm not going anywhere near this fight unless the line on Angela Hill continues to climb into the plus 180s. Then I'll definitely be playing Angela Hill. So it's a dog or pass situation for me. But yeah, no real bet at the moment in that fight. So I can't really give you guys a solid convicted play because I'm just waiting on the line myself. But yeah, other than that, there are no other leans or no other fights to break down. That was the last one. So let's check out these comments. I wouldn't be too patient, though. I think a lot of people see the same way you do and are waiting to keep it. Yeah, I do agree with the Fluffy Hernandez line, man. That's just a huge move, and minus 210 is a really good price for what I think is a highly likely outcome after round one. So hedging with round one Edmund is probably the way to go, to be honest, when you're looking at this fight, just so you can cover your ass a little bit, because I mean, minus 210 is a little bit tough to lay sometimes, because you're thinking of, if you want to win a unit, you're going to play 2.1. And at a position like this, like I might play 4.2 units on Anthony and try to find a way to hedge out with the round one Edmund to get equals. So yeah, that's my read on this card. And last but not least, I told you guys I was going to go ahead and give you guys a free MLB pick at the end of the show. So it's time. But if you haven't already, please like and comment on this video. It means a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, get us to 300. Let's get there, hopefully by the end of this month. That's what I'm shooting for. But for the free MLB pick, we have the no-runs first inning in the Braves and Rangers game at minus 125. This game starts in exactly 15 minutes, so you do have some time to lock it in. I locked this in for to win 1 unit. So I do think both pitchers have some favorable matchups here. Obviously, Strider, probably top 2, top 3 pitchers in the MLB at the moment. Great strikeout stuff. Has had multiple games with double-digit strikeouts, and this guy is a stud. And at his age, I feel like he's only going to improve from here on out. And Eovaldi this season has really bounced back and shaped into the ace that he once was with the Red Sox. Last season, he was subpar, below, almost average, below average pitcher. Couldn't really find his stuff. But now you see him under like the sub 3 ERA and a sub 1 WHIP. You got to give it to Nathan Eovaldi improving his game and showing a lot of confidence when he's stepping on that mound. And going against these two teams, the Braves are bottom 15 when it comes to first inning runs, and so are the Rangers. So all signs point towards this Nerfy, and it's very little juice that we're paying at -125. I think it's a solid spot. So give me the Nerfy in the Braves and Rangers game starting in 15 minutes, like I said. So go ahead, lock it in. I'll see you guys at the window and on Twitter. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next week. Or actually, we have 1 week off of UFC. No more UFC for a week. It's going to be a much needed week off. But I will try to have a personality pick episode uploaded next week just for some entertainment. And yeah, I will see you guys later. Peace.